Design or Die podcast, meant to connect creatives together and help you navigate the struggles and the triumphs of what it means to be an entrepreneur so that you and your business can thrive. I'm your host, Colette. Let's get creative. If you're thinking about starting a podcast, Anchor.fm is such a great way to start. It has all the tools you need to get you set up, has music you can add, you can record directly on there and create your episodes. So check out Anchor if you're ready to get started on your podcast journey.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Crazy thing, Chris just texted me that there's a black bear right outside our house. So I had
Be
to bring the
careful.
dogs in. I know. I was like, I'm not in New York anymore. It is crazy.
And I thought you were in a pretty suburban area.
I am, yeah, but it's like, I guess that thing happens here, but yeah.
We just got the
So
gators.
Today I have Michelle Lajoie on the podcast, and Michelle is a friend of mine from New York who now lives in Florida. So you can just talk about, what you do as a profession.
Sure. So I'm a licensed clinical social worker. Right now, in the field, I've been doing a lot of therapy. So was doing private practice in New York, came down to Florida, doing community-based counseling now. So pretty much anything that comes in that you would want counseling for, I work with it, ages 4 and up. So sometimes with the community-based counseling, what's a little different is, which we don't have so much in New York, I could do community counseling in schools, in the homes, but a lot of people just come to the office, or I do a lot of telehealth. So it's a lot of blended, flexible counseling, if you will. Some people can't come in or they have restrictions. So sometimes I'll just go to them, and which is nice. Sometimes you could add different elements, like it could be outside, it could be, walking instead of just sitting in the office. So it depends what's good for other people.
Because some people feel really uncomfortable just like being in a room, like just with one person you don't know.
Yes.
So is that what you studied in school? Is that always like what you wanted to do? Like, when did you decide that you wanted to start this?
So it's kind of a funny story. I feel like, so getting my background in social work, I say that it found me. So I wanted to teach like when I was in undergrad. So I love kids, always wanted to do that. Teaching on Long Island was great. Couldn't pass math algebra at all. Like I failed it. So I was like, oh, okay, what can I just take that will have me graduate on time? I'm not trying to be in school any longer. So I'm like flipping through the book, and I'm like, human relations, which is really social work, but they just changed it recently. But it was all psychology, social work classes. I was like, oh, this seems interesting. So loved it, got into that. I had a professor, Father Frank, like actual like father, like wore like the Jesus shoes all the
Oh
time,
my
even in the
gosh.
snow. And he was such a good professor, like was very critical thinking, not like what people would think at all. But through like his classes and the other classes with the psychology, social work, I ended up going to grad school. I loved it even more. So it's
Awesome.
funny. I was like, I'm going to teach. And I was like, no, I'm not.
Yeah, it found you. That's so cool.
It did. So I love that.
It's crazy how like one professor or like there's always a few people that really change you in a way. Like
Yeah,
I remember like one college professor like always stuck out to me. One in middle school. Like teachers really do shape like,
everything.
yeah, they need more credit. We already know that, especially during this past year or two.
Absolutely.
So has working in this field helped you navigate your own personal situations, or do you kind of like keep those separate? Like, have you learned tools to like better handle your life through that?
Yeah, there's definitely tools that like some of it we all know, like we just have to like make ourselves do it, like our deep breathing and our mindfulness, which is so important. Yeah, so it's a matter of doing it. But I think it's so funny too, because I tell clients all the time, like if there's like one week everyone's going through a very similar situation, and I'm like, what's going on here? Like you're all having a very tough week, or you're all having like an okay week, or it's craziness. But I feel like in getting into like the other stuff that I've learned, that's not just talk therapy. Like I've gotten into it's so hard to explain to like the average person,
Yeah.
but like a lot of alternative types of therapies
Mm.
I've done for myself, and you can kind of do it yourself at times. You just have to be super aware and like fixated on doing it. So like brain spotting is something I've had done and I've loved it, and it's so hard to explain. It's all like trauma work. So
Yeah, what is brain spotting exactly? Because I'm not even sure.
yeah, so it's very hard to explain. So it's I'm gonna give the like the simple
Yeah.
version. It's an offshoot of EMDR therapy, which is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing therapy. So basically, they started doing that with a lot of war vets, and coming home and all the trauma that like was physically there. Started out kind of in that field, people with like 9/11. David Grand, he kind of like coined the term brain spotting and took it off to this whole other like individual thing.
Hmm.
So they found that the EMDR sometimes was too re-triggering for people. It was like too traumatic, and
Yeah.
so you don't want to like re-traumatize a client
No.
every session.
Yeah.
So in order to process it and like really face it, it's like a lesser form, the brain spotting. So basically when you talk, you'll have gaze spots throughout the room. And where you look is where certain different traumas are like stored and things are activated in your body and they come out. It's so there's so many books you could read on it. That's why I'm still learning and getting into it too. The Body Keeps the Score. That's like a great book that everyone needs to read about, and just everything. Like trauma is in your body. And when I did the brain spotting, I went to this lovely person, Marianne. She was amazing. And like I would be talking and she would point out stuff even to me that like, have like 5+ years in the field. And I'm like, oh, like I never realized that.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, okay. And she'll tell you like, oh, do you feel anything in your body? I'm like, oh, my knee or my hip might be a little active. And she's like, oh, that means like betrayal, for example, or whatever it is. So it's so fascinating, so interesting. Want to get into that more,
Oh
but
my gosh.
that was such a tangent.
Oh my gosh, no, but the human mind is so complex and so wild. So of course we're like still figuring out these things. Like
Yeah.
it's a lot, a lot to
It's
learn.
funny because for myself, I was like, I wonder if this is talked about on TikTok because we all love to get info from TikTok and it is on there. So if people want more information, there is some like good, and I haven't seen anything totally like, no, that's like
Yeah,
false. People have come in where they're like, am I a narcissist? I'm like,
right.
no.
No.
TikTok said you are, but you're not.
Yeah, that's a hard thing to navigate with that because it's like it can be dangerous to like self-diagnose yourself when it's not it. But that's
Yes.
why it's important to like talk to someone like you and like figure out is this actually I think it's important that it calls out to things and you're considering it like, oh, maybe I have this and that I think is
Right.
healthy. But then, yeah, you want to make sure you're checking with someone who actually knows about it, you know?
I'll tell people all the time when they're like not sure. I'm like, okay, well, I'll pull out my DSM with them in session, and that's how we diagnose. And
Yeah.
I'm like, you can have traits of something that doesn't mean you qualify for a diagnosis. So people love to say all the time, oh, I'm OCD. You may not be a true
Yeah.
OCD person, but you can have traits of it. So not everything is like a diagnosis that like you put onto yourself.
Right. Or like something you need to take medication for.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you consider yourself an empath?
Oh, 100%.
And how is that like with your job? Do you end up taking on like a lot of the emotional stress from clients sometimes? Is it hard for you to separate like your personal feelings?
I would say not now. I think when you first start in the field, you're very like bleeding heart. I want to
Yeah.
help everyone. And there's only like one or two cases that really stick out that were like very traumatic. The kids were going through like a very tough time. So like that was hard. But I feel like now it's work and I go home and I separate and I got my own stuff to worry about, or I want to relax and do nothing after all day. So I feel like empathically, with clients versus people I know, like in my day to day life, it's definitely different. In my day to day life, it's a little harder to separate and be like,
Right. Because
not
that's
take
like
things
your
personal.
personality, like to like want to help people.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
at work, I kind of have learned to like separate it, be like, nope, this is work. And then home is home and they're totally separate.
Do you do anything to like de-stress when you're home to kind of like shut your mind off?
Yeah. So I try every day, go for a walk, even like if it's not too hot.
Yeah, you're in Florida now, so that's hard.
Yeah, it's very humid. So I'm like, depending. on the time of day or how long of walk. I'll take a little mental health walk. I'll tell my boss, I'm like, going for a mental health walk around the building. When I come home, I do when I have the chance. And like again, this is like I practice what I preach because like I tell my clients, you can't be like robots who are like, oh, just do your coping skills every day because you'll feel better. Like, no, I'm human too. I'm like sometimes I would just sit on Netflix and do nothing.
Right.
When I'm really intentful, I love to meditate, journal. I just did a vision board with some friends
Oh,
the past
nice.
few weeks. So I try to get into like the mindfulness piece of it and de-stress. And sometimes I'm like, I'm doing nothing. So it's like balance. You find the ways.
Yeah, definitely. Because for me, sometimes doing practices like that is adding work kind of to my
It
day.
is
Like,
work.
if like I know a lot of people like love to read and stuff, but for me, it's almost like work
Hmm.
because it's just like mental. So sometimes it feels like extra work. Sometimes I can do it and it's really relaxing. But yeah, that's
Yes,
really important to like notice what works for you when.
totally. I tried to read the other night after work, and my brain was like 1,000 tabs open, and I was like, I'm thinking about too many other things. I was like, okay, I can't read right
Yeah, and then it's like you pass like a whole chapter and you're like, I don't even know what that said.
now.
Like,
Right. I go back a lot.
right, me too. So we had talked about this like a while ago, but you had mentioned, well, I had asked like where you see yourself in your business like long term, and you had mentioned that you had like, this dream and it really like solidified like what you want to do going forward. So can you talk a little bit more about that and like what your dream entailed and what you got from it?
Yeah, sure. So it's funny, the whole like setup to it too. So I had this dream when I was from New York, moved to Florida, was homesick, tried moving back to New York, and I was like, ooh, I didn't miss it as much as I thought I did. It's kind of like the grass is greener effect.
I did the
You
same
you
thing.
miss it,
Right.
right? You're like, oh, this is how it was, and now it's like, oh no, no, like I want to be in Florida. So I was in there in the winter. It's depressing. It's cold. Seasonal depression for sure. Like not happy. But so one night I like had a dream that because I wasn't living my honest truth. I was trying a different career with different money, and I was like, I'm not really loving it. But I had a dream that I was, because everyone was talking to me about like, why don't you open your own practice and do this and that? And at the time, I didn't have my clinicals. Like, I can't right now. I have to do all these other things. It was so ironic. I dreamt that I was like on the beach and I was doing therapy. So I was like walking and talking, kind of like what I kind of do with the when I go to certain clients' homes if I'm not in physically in their house and we're walking in the neighborhood. So I'm like on the beach, I'm doing therapy, I'm talking. I had the whole setup of what I would do. And I wake up the next day and I'm like scrolling through my emails and I check and there's an email for continuing education credit of wilderness therapy.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's like, oh, that's ironic. I was like, that kind of entails to like doing therapy outside on the beach because the beaches are free to get down to.
They're just like people. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like reading the email. I'm like, oh, this sounds cool. And like the educator has like the same last name as me. And I'm like, this is not a common last
Oh,
name at
wow.
all. So it's like this,
Wait, did I say it right?
you did.
I
Yeah.
mean,
That's
I
the
have
French
that
way.
French in me, so
Yeah. You
Lajoie.
did say it correct. That's the correct way.
Love
No
it.
one could ever say it except for a few people.
Mhm.
So I'm like, this educator in upstate New York has the same last name. She's talking about doing therapy outside in nature, how you can incorporate that into your like CBT practice. And I was like, okay, so in the dream, I'm on the beach outside and I'm like, oh, this is great. No overhead costs because, you don't want to pay rent for a
Yeah.
building. If people don't come, you don't get paid. So it's like, oh, like I'm cutting out all these costs for myself. Beach is free. And I was like, oh, and here's a training. So I took the trainings in April. They were like 2 parts. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. So like down the road, that's something I would love to implement is like opening my own practice, doing therapy outside because they talk about too, again, like how everything connects to the brain, like being outside in nature isn't just good for us. It actually can rewire the synapses in your brain to be like, oh, you feel better because what nature is providing for you. So it's all connected. It's all, and I like the holistic piece of it too, to like mind, body, spirit, and nature. And
Yeah,
there's
because if
so much you
you,
could do.
yeah, if you do that for yourself, obviously you believe in it and, it'd be nice to implement that into your work. But that's so crazy. It's like little signs, right?
Yeah,
Dream about it and then you're seeing like these little puzzle pieces and you're
right.
going for them, which is so awesome. I personally like I just know myself, and like a lot of things come to me in dreams, whether it's like a personal situation or like, anything like that. And a lot of people don't read into dreams, some do. So, do you believe in signs like that? Like, obviously, this kind of happened for you. How important do you think it is to like listen to your intuition?
Oh, I think your intuition is everything. Because I think then we go back to like, oh, I wish, like, I knew I was right. Like, you kind of like when you second guess yourself, you know that like you have to be true to yourself. And it's for every person. People, I'm a little more woo woo than the average person. Some people are not.
Woo
And
woo.
yeah, that's what I say all the time. I'm like my woo woo when I don't have a better word for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it is important. Like it adds up because it gives you purpose and it kind of helps shape and like you follow a path and you're meant to go that way, I think, for a reason. And if it's not it long term, that's cool. It's meant to get you somewhere else.
Right. Like maybe you'll learn something from it and like use that for whatever's next.
Absolutely.
And it's like if you didn't take that step, you wouldn't know and you may be totally off?
Yeah, whole butterfly effect. And that's what I felt like even moving down here, like
Yeah.
because I even look back, I tell people this too, like so we both have Goldens and my Golden Calvin, like I only got him. It was such a serendipitous way. I got him from a job I hated. I was doing case management, wasn't very clinical, didn't like it. But I was doing a home visit, and the mom goes, "Oh, first time I went, there's no Goldens. The second time I went, there was like five Golden Retrievers running around. I was like, oh my God, I love this. Where'd they all come from?" She's like, "Oh, we have five, technically 10. Do you want to see the puppies?" I was like, yes.
Oh
So I
my
go upstairs and
God.
I'm like, Calvin was like 3 days old, this big. And I'm like,
Oh
if I didn't, I always like, that's like my biggest example. If I didn't take that job, I wasn't there
my
very long,
God.
but if
Have
I
a
didn't take it, and
baby.
no, I never would have found Calvin. It was like so serendipitous.
Things like that are so crazy. Like, I myself have a really hard time making decisions, but I do believe even if you do pick something that's like maybe not like the path just yet, like it'll get you there, like you said.
It does. I believe it. It just takes a while sometimes.
Yeah. And it takes a while to like be in that mind frame of like, it'll work out, things will happen how they're meant to.
Yeah.
It might not be like a straight path. It might be a little bit zigzaggy, but like it's getting you to the same place essentially.
It really never is a straight path. And it's so hard in the moment. That's the mindfulness piece to like believe that like it will get better. And I think that's the drive. Some people they don't I try to have the drive and other people are like, like you get stuck in it. So that's where you gotta see what works for you.
Definitely. Obviously, there's a lot of people going through like mental health issues given like COVID and all this stuff that's been happening.
Mm.
It's been like so much for people. What is like some very basic advice that you can give to people that are struggling right now? Is there anything you can recommend to like calm your mind, or what would you suggest to just the average person?
So on a basic, like super basic, easy level, I would say just go outside and move. Like
Yeah.
go for a walk, go somewhere you enjoy. Like if you don't like the beach, you go to a forest somewhere, you find a lake, whatever it is. I again that nature piece I think is so important, so healing and to like unplug and like we're so in our routines every day. And I try to tell people like, well, what do you do for yourself to give you something to look forward to? Like even if it's at the end of the weekend and even if it's just taking a drive somewhere, going somewhere new, something that is like soulful for you, like what helps you like kind of like de-stress. So it doesn't have to be like these big things. And I know therapy can be expensive for certain people. Not everyone has insurance, and sometimes just copays are ridiculous. So it's not always feasible for everyone. There are resources out there, but if you don't know about them, you can't find them. But to say, go outside and like just even for a walk, move your body, get those like adrenaline pumping, like it
Oh
helps.
yeah. Even like endorphins just from like working out, taking a run, a long walk. I've noticed that for myself like over time. Like when I was going through a hard period in my life, I was trying to think back of like when I was a kid and I'm like, what really helped me? When did I
Yeah,
feel the most happy and genuine? And I found it was like outside gardening with my mom. And so like
I
now as
love
an
that.
adult, that's what I try to do. And it's like gardening specifically gives me like a reason to go out. I'm like, oh, I have to water my plants. I have to check on them. So it gives me something to like do instead of just like sitting outside. I'm like, it's boring. It gives me something to like go do. all the while getting that vitamin D, getting out of the house because I work from
Mhm.
home. So like I need to get out sometimes. So I feel like little things like that too, like thinking about like what simple things make you feel like at peace. So we already talked about like where you see yourself in a few years from now. Do you have any other like aspirations or checkpoints you want even in your personal or professional life?
So you're definitely opening that practice down the road. That's so it's a little intimidating, but again, like those baby steps of like getting to that point. Definitely getting into more trauma work, getting some certifications with the all the letters that go on to like your degree and like all your
Cool.
certifications. So that would be awesome. Personally, I'm looking into like remote jobs too. So I'm like, I would love to just like even like to have the flexibility of like, okay, you work from home, but you can still travel. Like you can rent an Airbnb, be in a new town and like
Yes.
still work, but like you don't have to take time off or
Yeah.
you can go explore at night or on the weekends still. So I love to kind of incorporate that too, because I know for me personally, just leaving a place you've been your whole life has been so eye-opening and such like a good thing to see, like good and bad. There's different people and different ways of living, and
Right.
just to like broaden your horizons a little bit, I would love to do that more.
I used to travel a lot when I was younger because my family always lived in the South and we were the only ones in New York. And so like I got really used to like traveling by myself too, like at a young age. And now I just always want to do that. I'm like, I want to see something new just all the time, even if it's like an hour away. There's so much out there.
There really is, and we're like we're just tiny little dots.
We are. So I did want to talk about before when we were talking about like separating your personal feelings from like your job. What have you learned in terms of like boundaries? Because if you're an empath, you know it's really hard to like not become a therapist for your friends, I'd imagine. Where do you draw the line? Do you ever like have to tell friends like, "Hey, go get a therapist?" And like, like do you have like situations like that?
Well, it's funny. I think back, I have one friend down here that was like, she was going through a tough time and she's like, can I just like take you to lunch and pay you and like you be my therapist? I was like, no. And then I was like joking with her. I was like, you would get free therapy. I was
Yeah,
like, I can talk to you.
as a
And
friend.
and I
Yeah.
tell people too, yeah, as a friend, of course, because it's not the boundaries there are like going to be so blurred. And I could tell people like here's how to navigate a situation or how to work through it, but it's at the same time like I've had people like I've helped like okay, like let's look online to like find a therapist for you. And there's definitely some boundaries even in sessions too. Clients will always ask personal questions and
Mm.
it's like, well, why are you asking that? Why do you want
Yeah,
to
why
know?
do you want to
And
know about me? Interesting.
yeah, is it okay to self-disclose at certain times, certain things? And some of it's definitely not. And it's hard because when you're working so intimately with someone and you develop a working relationship, and then you're like, oh, like it's not all about me, it's all about you, and trying to get them back on
Right.
track to be like, okay, you're coming to me for an issue you have. So we got to work on that. So sometimes you gotta be a little strict, but it depends on the person. Sometimes you could tell when it's like harmless and they're just curious because I know every therapist is different. Some people will self-disclose a little more, some don't at all.
Mhm.
And I think it's a balance.
Yeah. And it's probably something you learn over time when you're like, oh, this doesn't feel right.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll get that like icky feeling. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. See, my thing with friends has always been like I have been a really empathic person. Like basically my whole family is like that, like my immediate family. And yeah, I find myself like I'll notice friends like keep calling me, and it's always about their situations. And they're only calling me to get advice. And I'm like, there has to be a point where I'm like, okay, let me not answer this call right now, which I hate doing because I don't like being ignored or like whatever, but I also have learned for me over time that like I do need to shut off sometimes. Like I can't help you today. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
and then I have had to like encourage a lot of friends. I'm like, you need a therapist. I'm not one. I'm not even like I don't even have the accreditations that you do, you know. I'm like I just know from experience, but yeah, some people try to take advantage a little bit.
Oh, they do,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's good you know your boundaries then of like, okay, like too much.
Yeah, I think it's important to like notice how you feel about it. Like if you start feeling like that type of way, then it's like, okay, let me not, which I'm sure you've
Yeah,
experienced too.
totally. It's a balance.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to share how people can like find you or follow you or your work?
Have a psychology today. I think you could just Google my name, Michelle Lajoie. So that's pretty much out there. I am full with clients right now, so I'm not taking anyone else right now. The Psychology Today is like basically just my about me, my professional history, stuff like that. But people can message if they wanted help with like how to find someone or
Yeah.
what's the best route to go about it. I recommend Psychology Today to everyone because the insurance companies can be so annoying to like call, get that
And
list,
you
and
might
I
not
think the
like
Psychology
them.
No, it's
Yeah.
true because the Psychology Today has a little profile picture, so you can actually see what the person looks like. Some of them have really fancy, cool websites it leads to. Everyone's got a little something different. So I tell clients too, if I have to refer out or if I say you need more services, different type of services than what I can offer you, I like to say like, go look at their picture because you could get a vibe of would you get along with
Right.
them? You
Yeah,
don't,
I can
whatever.
usually tell by looking at someone if like we'll vibe kind of or reading their bio. Like,
Yes,
oh,
yes.
they put something cool in there that I like. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's a little more personal.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for talking today. I really enjoyed our conversation and I hope someone can learn something from it.
Thank you for having me. It was so good to see you.
Yeah, you too. I'll have to catch up again soon. All right, well,
Yes.
enjoy your Monday and I will talk to you later. So I just want to interject here. So right after Michelle and I had this call, she texted me. She saw a picture of a truck that had Juniper written on it, which is funny because we were just talking about the Goldens on the podcast, and Juniper is my recent Golden that I've gotten. She is my baby, and we're just like, what? That's so crazy. We're just talking about signs. And what that reminded me of is when my husband and I were getting married, COVID happened, and on our original date, we decided to just get married, just us, our dog, our officiant photographer at our venue. And we got to pick a little bit about what the officiant said, but she went kind of off the cuff since things had changed a lot, and she picked a sermon that was about, I don't know exactly the story, but it was about these people wanted to go to Italy, I think it was. They end up in Holland somehow, and they're so upset about, being in Holland. One of them decides to be like, you know what? We're not in Italy, but we're here in Holland and we're going to make the most of it. And that's kind of what we did for our wedding, right? And right after the ceremony, my officiant drives away and sends a picture to us. And it was again on a truck nearby, and it said Holland. Like, I don't know. Things like that are just crazy. If you believe in signs, let me know what you think. We can chat more about it.